Welcome back to another episode of the WrinklyBrain Podcast. This is a Smooth Brain EDH affiliated podcast where we like to goof, gaff, and talk about the Commander format. I'm your host, Jason, joined today by my co-hosts, Ethan.
Hello.
And Cameron.
Howdy, y'all.
Alright, we have a secret for you. Whenever we record videos for new sets, like the one we just did for Lost Caverns of Ixalan, or a little bit earlier for Wilds of Eldraine, we have an in-house ban list.
No way.
Wow.
We actually have two.
We rule zero in our play group.
Yeah.
We rule zero talk.
Wow.
What?
What's a rule? Jason, what's a rule zero? Have we talked about rule zero on the podcast before?
Absolutely. Rule zero is just the first rule of Commander, so to speak, is the rules don't matter and you can make up whatever the fuck you want.
And we talk about that on another episode. Link below. Gotta plug her.
So we actually have two ban lists. A hard ban list where we just say, if you try to put this in one of our set release videos, we will kick back that deck. And we have a soft ban list where it's like, if you put it in your deck, we will ask you why is it in your deck. We've never publicly shared the contents of these lists, even to our patrons who do build decks for us occasionally for set release. So what we're going to do today is we're going to tell you what's in the list.
Oh, a little peek behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Sharing our trade secrets? Jason, how could you?
I know. But we have to make some things clear, right? Like, there's a clear difference between what we want to do when we're playing at a normal table versus what we want to do for a set release. Like, the goal...
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, set releases have new cards. We want to play the new cards. So there's a couple of things that need to happen there. Like,
We want to highlight those cards specifically, which makes it hard for me. If you've noticed the trend on the actual gameplay videos, I've been doing a lot of mono red recently, which is not good for the longer games because I've been trying to end things quick. If you notice, the games that have been getting posted, the ones where I win, are too quick for us to post.
Yeah. So yeah, that's legitimately an issue. If you have a preference for fast combo or aggro, it's a little tough for us because if the game ends in 20 minutes, then we don't have enough content for a video, which stinks.
Yeah.
Also, we get to play a lot of new cards just off the fact that what was it? Lost Caverns alone had 5 new mechanics.
Yeah.
And so or new creature types or returning creature types like Dino Kindred. Obviously we're gonna have a bunch of freaking dinos from Lost Caverns, or if we did an explore deck, which I think we plan on doing a Merfolk deck that has a lot of explore. Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of new cards for the Merfolk creature type. Mm-hmm. So it does lend itself well, unless you're Ethan and playing mono red good shit.
I'm working on that.
Turbo Dead.
Yeah.
And the reason why we want these longer games, obviously to show the cards, but there's also some of the commanders have limitations, or they just can't survive quick games, right? They take a very, very long time to get off. In the video that Ethan played in, where he was playing O'Hare Ashnil, and this has already come out. If you haven't seen the video, sorry, spoilers. Ethan gets killed very quickly.
Okay, Descent into Avernus is a dumb card.
Yes.
I'd try to build that card, put that card in the deck for the first time, and impressed by it, but it got me dead sooner than my opponents, which was not the plan.
Right, but the other deck that was at the table I wanted to mention here was O'Hare Tak, which is the mono white god. That's 6-drop god that triples your creature tokens that you create, right? Mm-hmm. Sam asked for my help with building that deck, and when he gave me the list that he had put in, I was like, hey, your curve is you start at 4. You have a really, really high curve, and you know that there's a good chance that O'Hare Ashnil is going to be in the pod with you. You need to be able to interact earlier and get your plan started before O'Hare Tak comes down. But during that video, Descent to Avernus came down, which made it so that, that deck was able to do a lot during the video, but if there was no Descent to Avernus, that deck probably wouldn't have functioned hardly at all.
I'm just a giver. That's all I'm hearing. I'm just a giver. I help people out.
You gave us the best experience of the whole time.
Mono red group hug, all right?
And sometimes you see what happens when somebody dies super fast, like when Ethan was playing Ellie and Alan. That was a great game.
Yeah.
That was a great game for the other 3 decks. They all did really cool shit. And so we had to make the sacrifice of Ethan dying on turn 6 to a bunch of dinosaurs.
Fun fact,
use that game.
Fun fact on that one, I actually mulled 5 times because I could not get a land that either had between 0 or 7 lands. Is everyone's just like just mull back to 7 because typically for set releases we don't want to show like someone mulling to 4.
I mean, even when we play
Rule
just
0.
casually with us, we
rule
just
0.
go to 7.
Other people behind the curtain, we just go back to 7. It's friendly. Just we don't mull to Soul Ring, even though we have a lot of Soul Rings.
Except Caden. Caden had 3 Soul Rings, and like 4 of the 4 games he played, he had 3 Soul Rings.
He just needs to shuffle. All right, but no, like I just couldn't get there. And,
it's easy, just never mulligan.
Fair enough.
Right.
Just draw better,
Easy.
5-head. So yeah, very much that one was just kind of rough. But overall, the other game we played that we did not use, which because it was just too quick, the footage still exists. It might be a short. I'm talking to our editor about that.
Oh, you're talking about
that's
the
what I want?
20-minute O'Hare Ashton?
Yeah, because that one was sick. Because
Camera
we got
crapped out at the end.
no. Chandler said that it didn't crap out.
Ah, well, I have conflicting information that.
Yeah, he told me that it might still exist, so hopefully that one comes out.
Okay.
But we get to see why that one. Long story short, I did Crazy Storm turn. One of the new Dress Spark cards to permission denied, shut me down, and then I just did the exact same thing the next turn because Mystics Mastery is Mystics Mastery. Best card ever printed.
Oh boy, we're fighting already. No.
But back on topic.
Yeah, like one of the other parts to this is I want to mention with Sam, right? Sometimes it's going to be deck building abilities of the people involved as well, and particularly because we take decks from our patrons. I'll get a little more detail on that in a second, but our patrons build everything from you have given me a deck that is a 3-color deck with 30 basics in it to you have given me a near CEDH deck, and so we gotta let them have their diversity and what they want to work with.
That also ties into deck building preference because like somebody might see Ogier Ashenil, like the Ethan built and been like, okay, group slug, mono red group slug, whereas Ethan said no, turbo dead.
Yeah.
So we all have our different, like, what was it with Abuelo? Someone might lean more into. I mean, that one kind of does just build itself. Never mind. But somebody brought up with Pantlaza in the comment section of our Pantlaza video, if you could build it with Blink, and it's like, yeah, absolutely, play some Blink shit in Pantlaza. That would be awesome.
We just chose to go the really stompy route with Pantlaza as opposed to the blinking route with Pantlaza, which both are honestly equally good.
Yeah, equally good.
Mm-hmm. And one last thing here is we mentioned like the preferences of our deck building, but also our preferences for how we think the format should be or what the ban list should look like. So there's a little bit of that in there as well. And lastly, we don't care about budget that often because I should mention that anytime we record a set release video, we record 2 days after spoilers end. Mm-hmm. So like we have 2 days to finalize our decks and get everything ready. Very often we'll build the deck and be like, okay, this is my tentative deck list, and then just like eyeball spoilers and being like, okay, we also kind of have a minimum of, not like a hard minimum of new cards we need to play. We kind of touched on that, but it is expected from us that we play some amount of new cards. We try to make sure we get at least 4 cards in there, but sometimes you also have a commander that comes out that honestly the new cards in the set don't really support it. And
right.
Me. Hi, Ochair Action Meal. It was I threw in a few of them, but like Chamil, the Inner Sun, I threw that in there because it just was like, okay, sure.
That was just cool.
It was cool. It generically good card, and that's why I could put it in. But like a lot of the discovery cards, like I hit the mother load in, but past that, there was maybe one or two.
I pulled one of those. Do you want it?
Yes, please. Actually, thank you. I was wanting one really bad. Thank you. Cameron's my man. Okay,
Cameron's been hot with the pulls. Cameron's been hot with the pulls.
Mr. Walmart pack mana crypt over here. Yeah,
he's got it right there. Yep, got to show it off every time. Playing CDH,
yeah.
He's like, "Oh, it's not in play. I just wanted to show it."
So like sometimes you just can't put the new cards in. But like one of the cards I'm pretty sure I put in my Ogier list was Wheel of Fortune. We don't care about price a lot about the stuff because we care
more about power level. Mm-hmm. And Wheel of Fortune's not a card we're concerned about the power level of.
If Windfall's fine, then Wheel of Fortune's fine because they're practically the same card.
But also on the same token, like, we're obviously not going to build $5,000 decks because we know it's unrealistic when somebody looks at it.
See, that's the funny thing is sometimes we do, sometimes we don't, and we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Ooh, well, I try not to build $5,000 decks.
We'll get to
So if someone looks at my deck list, they can be like, oh, I want to build that.
By the way, last thing to the patrons, as I mentioned, y'all have your variety of range. We want you to be able to do that. And oftentimes, if you don't know what's on the list, we are perfectly fine with just making small adjustments to the list to make match our power levels. And also, if you are somebody who puts on the lower power level than what we normally do for our set release videos, then we will adjust down the power level of all of the other decks to match yours. So that is the reason why I don't give it out to the patrons, even though it would be kind of easy for you guys, but I don't want you guys worrying about that. I just want you to build your decks and have fun with it. And to our viewers, if you'd like us to play one of your decks on the channel, we collect lists from our $10 patrons or $10 plus patrons every month. And every time a new set release, we extend that down to our $5 plus patrons. So if you want to get us to play your decks, join the Patreon. We do a raffle.
We are just plugging.
Good luck against Robbo.
Plug.
Yeah, good luck against Robbo.
Yeah, good luck against Robbo. Robbo wins every fucking time.
Seriously, legit. I don't know how this Australian just like can win every time,
but it happens.
I don't know. Something reverse in Australia. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into the list.
Let's do it.
Their toilets swirl the other way. It's just magic down there.
All right, so first off, we're going to start with the hard ban list. This is the stuff that we do not permit in decks. Like, flat out, if it is in the deck and we don't catch it, then something went wrong.
Yeah, we will shoot you dead if you play it.
Yeah.
Take me all back.
We'll start out with the first group of cards, which is tutors. The powerful tutors are the things that we remove. That is Demonic Tutor, Vampiric Tutor, Enlightened Tutor, Worldly Tutor, Mystical Tutor, and we also just have a blanket statement of any other, like, 1-mana tutors. This is namely for Imperial Seal, but you can start getting into minutia on what 1-mana tutors are.
Get your gables out of here. Don't play Gable.
Generally, our baseline for okay playable tutor is at Grim Tutor. That's the one we kind of argue, and even then, I'm like,
I just don't want to play tutors in these set. Every tutor you play is a spot where a new card could be. If you're just playing a tutor, you can just put in a card from the new set, and it might not be as consistent, but we're not going for consistency. We're going for...
No, we want variance.
We want variance. We want fun. It's Commander.
And the big counterpoint that we've had about tutors is, well, it helps you tutor for the new cards. And while that's great, we're competitive enough that we just never do that.
Yeah.
Like, people, when you're actually recording, you often forget that I should be highlighting new cards in every situation. But if you had a tutor and you could go get a board wipe, and then you're like, well, I didn't put any new board wipes in my deck, so I'm going to go tutor this random card, and you get called out on it in a video, like, it doesn't feel great. So just don't put the tutors in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the only hard ban tutors, but like I think a lot of us deck building philosophy wise for new set releases will also omit like the Green Sun Zeniths and the finale of Devastations and the like. Fabric.
That you named one of them. It is on the list, and we'll talk about it in a second. But there are a couple of tutors that we do permit. For example, Diabolic Intent is not on the list. So it's not that we can't say you don't have any tutors at all. It's just that we need you to slow down your roll. And if you're going to tutor for things, we prefer you to get the new cards, but it's hard to find those situations.
Has anyone
tutors
played Diabolic?
Play less tutors.
Yes. Has anyone actually played Diabolic Intent, though? Because I'm still waiting on Chandler to give me the copy you sent him like 4 months ago. It's still at his work.
I think
one
of us may have had it. One of us may have had it in our March of Machine because it got the reprint. Yeah. And whatever.
Yeah, but also because we've kind of hard-coded ourselves to good tutors don't get played. Diabolic Intent is a good tutor that's technically not on the list, but we just don't play it anyway.
Yeah.
It's there in spirit.
Mm-hmm. Just as like the RC, the rules committee, has the Banlist be a philosophy guide, we kind of also have that for our personal list. And I think it's the correct way to go about it. Like we do have obviously like things like, hey, this is like the signpost, do not play this. As we said, like the harp tutors. We could just like put on like Demonic Tutor and the like, and we just kind of understand because we've communicated with a rule zero discussion with our play group, a healthy way to do it. Go us for this time.
Snaps to us.
Yeah.
Yay, snaps all around.
Next category is fast mana. It's Mana Crypt and Mox Diamond.
We could argue the other ones, but
the other ones we will talk about more later.
But Mana Crypt is just the best mana rock in EDH, and
it is the best card in EDH.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah.
You think Soul Ring artificially inflates how fast your deck goes?
I'm out for free.
Look, as much as people talk about, like, I don't know why there's a debate between some people, or at least in the casual sphere, there's a debate on Soul Ring versus Mana Crypt.
It's not close.
Because the losing life is the thing, and I'm like, look, if you think Rhystic Study's dumb on turn 2, think about what it is on turn 1. Like,
I also think that arguing which one is better. I mean, like Mana Crypt is better, yes, but it's not like, wow, Mana Crypt is so much better than Soul Ring. Soul Ring's
still Soul
only
Ring.
just a step or two behind, dog.
Yeah.
Like, it's apples and oranges.
Oh,
There's no point in arguing over them.
Soul Ring's absolutely broken. It's just grandfathered into the format, but who cares?
Yeah.
But a more detail on like why these two in particular are the ones we talk about. Obviously, Mana Crypt. We just addressed that. Mox Diamond. Okay. Remember how we said we don't want to post $5,000 decks? Posting a $300-$400 Mana Rock
Card.
like that throws it off completely.
Is it only $300 or $400? I thought it was closer to $500.
I think it's like 5 or 6 now.
I can't remember where it's at anymore. But
Ethan won one when it was 100.
Yeah, and I was dumb and sold it.
We all were. We had only been
to
playing a year.
And then I traded a lot of crap for another one. Thank God.
Yeah, and in casual, Mox Diamond is definitely better than like Chrome Mox by comparison. But it's just an extremely powerful card. These are all busted, and they drive up the cost of the deck to such an extreme. Plus, again, we're trying to play longer games to showcase the decks.
Yes.
These things accelerate too quickly.
And someone might argue again, to play devil's advocate will be like, well, it lets you get out your commander faster. It's like, well, as Jason alluded to earlier, we still try to make the best decisions. And if the best thing to do is not cast our commander, it is to cast, a turn 2 Smothering Tithe. We're probably going to lean towards casting a turn, which another card we'll get to later.
Yeah.
But,
we'll talk about some of this stuff
for the sake of example.
And there's also a very notable exclude that when you bring up casting commanders, we'll get to that as well.
We'll get there. I would like to note though, Mox Diamond market price is like lowest, market price right now is like $559.
Yeah.
So it prohibitively expensive in a sense. Again, proxies are your friend. Moving on.
All right. Now we got just individually powerful cards, and we're just going to go through these ones. We might spend some time on, but honestly, these are all really.
I do want to talk about the first one
for
the one specific reason.
Okay, then I will say the name, and you give us the reason. Drannith Magistrate.
So we used to not have this card banned. When we were in the infancy of our channel, we did not have a ban list. We literally had a CEDH deck versus 3 casual decks one time. Anyway, Drannith Magistrate goes against the whole spirit of a Commander YouTube channel. People tune into your video in a non-CEDH gameplay video. So, CEDH, throw it out the window. But people tune into our set release videos to see these commanders cast. And Drannith Magistrate just says no. So 3 out of 4 people coming to watch a video for that commander, that they don't get to see their commander cast potentially. And that's not cool.
Quick question. Which video are we talking about that 3 casual 1 CDH? Was it the one I played cold in?
No, there was one where Logan was on Mogus.
Yeah.
Was it Tyler with the Brawl and Bras?
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Moving on.
that was one of the videos from like the first 4 months of the channel.
Yeah. Like infancy. Like we all do goober stuff in our youth.
Before I was here,
we had a lot of growing and figuring out who we wanted on the channel long term.
We were
stuff like that. But
we had to go through our adolescence as a YouTube channel.
We figured things out though. We're figuring things out. We figured out that Dockside Extortionist is busted. Moving on.
Wow. What? No way, right?
Yeah, that's on our hard ban list. Anyway. Next,
Jason, you need to talk about this next one. Just take it away.
Sure. All right. So, Fierce Guardianship. And I'm going to bring up this because anything that has relation to free interaction is pretty much me putting this on this list. I'm the one who hard pushed for these cards to be banned. Gotcha counterspells are generally excluded because we want players to play their cool cards. And we've got plenty of things to think about when we're recording. We don't need to think about free interaction. It gets underneath people's skin when you think, like, I finally, the blue player tapped out. I can do this cool thing I've been wanting to do, and you just get got by a free counter.
Force of Will, Fierce Guardianship.
Yeah. That said, play foil, you cowards.
Let's go foil. Anytime we see a foil cast, we're like, yo.
Yeah,
like, me too.
If you want to play, there are free spells you could play if you really want a free spell. Like, you can play
Commandeer.
You can play Commandeer.
You can like play a 3-for-1. Right, like
just have a more
cards that are generally cards that are generally bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Is Commandeer really a 3-for-1 though? Because you get control of the spell, correct?
Yeah, you get their card, but
It's really like a 2-for-0.
you still need 2 blue cards in your hand and the Commandeer.
Yeah,
Where in an environment where it's a lot of tap out, play big thing.
Yeah, Commandeer's a weird one to try to determine the 1v2, or it's a 2-for-1, or it's a 3-for-1 because you deny it
It's
from your opponent
situational.
and give it to yourself. So that's almost like saying, well, it's just a 1-for-1, really. But like, let's not worry about that. All right, that's all I got for talking about that free spell.
Yeah.
Next one.
I just wanted to say, play foil, you cowards.
Foil.
That's Jason's hill he's been dying on for ages. Next card on the list, though, Necropotence. Wow, it's like paying life to draw cards. It's really, really good or something. It just kind of ends the game. It either for the table, because the person draws 20 cards, chooses their best hand, and then the next turn they just win, or you just lock yourself out of the game and you're done. There's no middle ground, really, unless you're playing like a slow life gain deck and you're playing as a value, but then you're just they're basically playing it wrong.
Set release videos are very creature mid power creature aggro that's how the games are determined is by creatures. And so if someone playing Necro is going to pay 15 and then just die because everyone's going to be like, you threat, kill.
You got Mario swinging in with a bunch of dinosaurs.
Yeah. Thank you for that meme, Chandler. We appreciate you.
It.
Chris Pratt. Thank you, Chris Pratt, for being on a Magic the Gathering card. We love it.
But so also the other thing about Necro is so this card can be very exciting to play, right? Someone resolves a Necro and you're like, oh, something big's about to happen. And then they just die and you're like, neat. Like it can be exciting. It can also be one of those situations where people who don't like dealing with or don't like seeing the types of game where big thing happens and then guess everyone's dead. It's can be unexciting for them. Also, if you try to play Necro fairly, like if you're in a situation where Necro's in your deck and you intend to play it fairly, anyone who plays with Necro is going to comment on that and say, you're playing it wrong.
Yeah. What did I just say 2 minutes ago?
I am in agreement with that person. Necro isn't a fair card.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like we can't. It puts a deck building restriction on us to even try to play Necro. It's just not worth thinking about.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on to card that gets cast and guess the game just ends. Expropriate.
Woo.
Yeah. Extra turn, 3 permanents stolen.
I mean, I in all fairness, if you are going to resolve a 9-mana spell like that, generally it's going to have a high impact, if not win you the game.
Yeah.
But no one likes playing against this card. Therefore, we don't want to showcase this card.
Honestly, and this is something important to point out, is, again, we talk about differences between what we would bring to our own casual tables versus what we do for recordings.
Oh, yeah.
Viewers hate this card. Like, if we cast this, we get crucified. So, we just don't bother with it. Because you guys don't want to see it. And for the 5 people right now who are like, I want to see it, there's only 5 of you. Shut up.
Go cast it yourself.
I'll fight you in the Denny's parking lot. Let's go, baby.
You don't need to see us cast it to tell you it's good. Go cast it yourself.
Exactly that. Like other broken cards that do fun things. The One Ring.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good card.
It's a pretty good card. I will say, if it was in a colorless deck, I'd be more okay with it, and there's the nuance to it. But like generally, you can play it in any deck, and it's just good.
You can play it in any color deck, and it is the best card in your deck, no matter what deck you're playing. Yeah. There is the potential for that.
I built the Karn, the new Karn deck, and literally it was just a way for me to play the One Ring and have the Manifold and Voltaic
Untappers.
Stuff. Just the Untappers in there. I just wanted to just be stupid with it, and I did. And now I'm done playing the deck because it just did the thing.
I will say, so nuance discussion. This is one of the newest cards we've added to the list. There's the next 3 cards, or this and the next 2 cards are relatively new additions. I actually think the One Ring does offer some very interesting gameplay that can be very exciting for the people playing it. We mentioned how Necro is not a fun card because it just inevitably ends the game. But we were also just talking about how we're big creature strategies. Someone plays a One Ring and everyone has the threat assessment and goes, we have a board state, and you just played a One Ring for protection. All right, buddy. guns pointed at your head. Let's go.
Yeah, there's some cool like dynamics and political intrigue that goes with the card, but also the card on its own, depending upon like how early you're able to turbo it out, it's another one of those cards that just wins the game on its own.
Yeah, and again, a few things, right? We've cut out tutors from our decks, so card draw is king whenever you can get it. This is by far one of the best card draw options. People want something to replace their tutors with that's powerful. They were going to the One Ring.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we talked about Expropriate as being one of those cards that people just roll their eyes at, you know, when it gets cast because they know it's good. I think the One Ring benefits from being relatively new, and in like a year or two's time, whenever, if it's not banned by then, it will elicit that reaction of, oh, here's the One Ring again.
It'll be a very similar reaction. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Next card.
Similar card, yeah. Orcish Bowmaster. It's a pretty new card. And as Jason said, card draws king, and this punishes that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We actually banned Orcish Bowmasters before we banned this card. Like, we went through one set release we went through 2 weeks of recording with Orcish Bowmasters, and we said no. We went through 2 set releases with One Ring and then said no.
I think we also had 2 consecutive weeks of games being defined by Orcish Bowmaster, and even they weren't even necessarily set release games, so whatever. Yeah. But also we were just like, I'm sick of this card. Let's ban it in like some of our games so we don't have to deal with it.
Oh yeah,
we did like the high power game, right, where I was playing a Maelstrom Wanderer. Was that video where it was Jason played Orcish Bowmaster, Matt copied it,
on
and
Sauron.
It was just back and forth Bowmaster, and we just that table just
the
didn't
best
do anything.
answer to a Bowmaster
is
another Bowmaster.
It just wasn't fun gameplay, and that in a set release context just does not sound appealing. That's not content I would want to watch. It's not content I want to make. So I'm very okay with this being on our ban list.
Yeah. Also, just arbitrarily, we played a casual game with people on our Discord not too long ago, where in a game where there were only 2 Orcish Bowmasters in all of the decks, Orcish Bowmasters hit play 4 times. So,
that's disgusting.
It was. I played mine. Matt played his. Someone cloned mine. I replayed mine. Like, it just defined the entire game, right? For a 2-mana card to be doing that, that's a bit too much. And while I do think we do want to be able to punish card draw, because card draw is so powerful, we need to create threats against it. Orcish Bowmaster was not the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Shieldred, though.
Unfortunately, Shieldred's $100. We talked about price at one point.
Because he plays it and everything and more. It's just insane.
Yeah. All right, last card that's on our hard ban list is Cyclonic Rift.
This one was a debate
3 weeks
recently.
ago.
Was it 3 weeks ago? I feel it was longer than that.
3 weeks or a month ago.
About a month ago.
Give or take.
We had about a half an hour conversation about this one back and forth, and it was a hard one because I feel like Jason, you were on the side of saying it's fine, and most people were on the side of let's just get rid of it.
It was so importantly to note, this was on our soft ban list, which was if you put this in your deck, you need to justify why it's there. And I'm still firmly of the opinion that Cyclonic Rift is a card that you can justify being in your deck, especially if you're. I have played a lot of blue decks in our green and white stompy pods that just get run over, and they do not have enough way to interact. Mm-hmm. Like, you can play a whole bunch of bounce spells that are okay, but you really need one that's instant speed like Cyclonic Rift, and Evacuation doesn't do enough. So if I'm playing a really low power blue deck, like when I played, why am I blanking on his name? No, the stupid 2-mana guy who Drafna.
That's the one I just said.
Sorry.
Wait, Ethan?
I think you said Drakuseth. No. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's
Drafna. I said Drafna.
Wait, no, Jason, Drafna, right? Right, Drafna, Jason.
Yeah, definitely Drafna.
Yeah, Drafna.
I agree with you, 100%. Yeah. Sorry.
Good.
Okay, I like it to be known right now that I am gaslit, gate-kept, and girl bossed out of this podcast half the time, okay?
Damn straight. Anyway. So, when I played Drafna, like, that deck absolutely required a card like this. Especially because the ramp that it was creating didn't even contribute to casting Cyclonic Rift.
What the fuck is a Drafna?
Yeah, go ahead and look at that thing, buddy.
That thing, okay. Yeah.
It copies artifact spells.
Copies artifact spells, and it wants to play with a whole bunch of Power Stones. it is not good. It
No.
needs a card like Cyclonic Rift, but at the same time, that's why it was in the soft ban list, because it shouldn't be in most decks. You can play your new cards, like Raise the Palisades. It's a great card that just got printed. Play that card more.
Mm-hmm.
But
so, for instance, would you say that Cyclonic Rift is a necessary evil in a deck like Ogier Pakpatik, the mono blue god from Lost Guys of Ixalan? Because again, yeah.
I would say
so like I could
probably.
see that being a contextual. We don't have a section for like contextual bans. Like we have certain exceptions for like if you're building this deck and you can make a case for it, we allow it. Which is what Jason was kind of wanting to go for. But we've had so many games of Cyclonic Rift just kind of being put in a deck, and it warps the entire game. I think for Doctor Who, we recorded multiple videos, and the 2 we posted, I think both were kind of defined by the player that cast Cyclonic Rift ended up winning the game.
And Cyclonic Rift is another card that people will just like
roll their eyes.
They'll roll their eyes at and be like, okay, I don't want to watch anymore because somebody just prolong the game. I don't want to say artificially prolong the game because it's perfectly reasonable, but like it is one of those salt cards, and people will click off due to it.
And also, this is a fun fact, people. Cyclonic Rift is one of those cards that no matter where I play it, I'm always conscious of how I play it. We recorded a video not too long ago. I'm not going to tell you which one, because if you find it, bonus points to you, my listeners. It'll be coming out probably in the next month, but I recorded a game where I had the option to cast a Cyclonic Rift that would have pretty firmly ended the game. Like, guarantee you, I was going to do the fair Cyclonic Rift, the thing that people always say, if you're going to cast Cyclonic Rift, you better win the game that turn. I was going to do that and opted not to, because I felt that the video would have been more fun if we gave it one more turn.
Yep.
So
I think we've all sandbagged something like that before.
We've all done that.
Because content games and actual games are different.
Yep. Chandler has specifically said that like I don't remember the case, but he's had like a dam in his hand, but he was like, no, whomever had the stompy board, they did something really cool, and it was really cool for them to win that way.
We're happy to end it. We think it makes good content at that point. And I'm going to say this now, that those are very rare games where we do this. Yeah. Like, it would maybe be 1 out of every 10 games we do something like that.
I'd go up to 15 or 20. Normally games end very organically.
Yeah. It may also be that some people, like, I sandbag something, but I'm just not going to tell people I did, right? But in this case, I very clearly spoke to the table, like, something was happening. I was like, okay, I could Psych Rift in response to this, but if I did that, I have a feeling that would not be the most fun thing for everyone. I think it'd be more fun for everyone to have a turn. Do you agree? And so I chose not to. But it's very, very rare that we do that. Most of the time, our games are just 100% organic. Like, oh god, we died to this. So I think we're good on the hard ban list. Let's get onto the soft ban list. And a lot of the categories are the same here. Fast mana. We've got Chrome Mox, Mox Opal, and Mana Vault on here. They're fast, they're good.
Is Grim Monolith in our soft ban? No.
Grim Monolith's not on it.
Okay.
If you have a reason to play Grim Monolith, go ahead. But, I mean, it's also, what, $300-$400 for that card as well? So.
Again, it's one of those cards that we have that we probably won't play. Yeah. Just unless Ethan's playing, like, colorless bullshit.
Yeah, if you're playing colorless bullshit, by all means.
Hey, like, I do it good.
Mana Vault's on there because it's a Dark Ritual in any deck.
Yep.
Mopal, I'm okay with Mopal more so than the other ones, due to if you're playing an artifact deck, like...
Welcome to the 3 people in the group that are like, yeah, Mopal should still be allowed in some decks.
I think Mox Opal is fine because it requires, in non-CEDH environments, it requires actual deck building costs.
Yes.
I'm trying to... It's Chromox. That one I'm having a tough time trying to justify in any deck. What decks are really needing Chromox?
I honestly wouldn't be against putting that into the hard ban list, but
I think it's on the same level as Mox Diamond in my mind.
Yeah. I think so I started with making this for the viewers. I do a lot of administrative work for the channel, and this was one of my administrative projects that I did like a year ago, I think. Just
a year and a half, probably.
Yeah. It was just to create guidelines for us to work with for whenever we do brewing. And I put Chromox on there, and I think I said I would be happy with this being a hard ban list or hard ban, And there was some pushback against that because they're like, well, I want to be able to do some cool stuff with that. And I'm like...
And like, I like to have that discussion again because I mean, it just feels like Mox Diamond-esque. It's just free, fast mana, and are you really needing that 0-drop artifact really to get there?
Yeah. The other thing is we don't have a whole lot of... We have some other card draw spells we'll be addressing in a moment. We have addressed some of the big card draw, so it is a little more costly to play Chrome Mox than it would be normally. But at the same time, if you put Chrome Mox in your deck, you're putting it because you have the card draw available to fuel it. So yeah, I don't see a great justification for it to be on the soft ban. It should probably just be a hard ban.
We'll probably revisit that when we talk about it again in a meeting.
On the other hand, takes
fine.
work.
It does.
It's
if you're
not
playing
coming down
artifact
turn one.
lands, artifact lands, like if you like your lands getting destroyed by Vandal Blast like I do, play Mobile.
Just play the dual artifact lands. Those have indestructible.
But they come tapped.
Yeah, and then they
So
come
you play
tapped,
both.
right?
Nothing
It's
wrong
like-
with tap lands.
Yeah,
Depends.
sure.
I think other than Jason, I'm the person on the channel that's played the most artifact lands.
Yeah.
So if I think Mobile's fine, you have to have deck building restrictions to make that work effectively. And really, the deck building restrictions, you get the benefit of getting to play a Mox Opal. Not really the most worth it. Like if you're in an artifact deck, sure, but overall, if Mox Opal is out of the deck, you really won't miss it too much.
Right.
Notable one that I don't know if you brought this. I don't think you brought this one up. We're fine with Mox Amber though too, right? Like I
Mox
think
Amber's
we're
fine.
all. Yeah,
I'm completely fine with Mox Amber. I see zero issue with that.
I just wanted to bring it up because someone might ask.
It is the poopiest of all the Moxen, except
Still
for
good.
except for Mox
Tantalite.
Tantalite, because
Mox
Mox Tantalite.
What card?
Mox Tantalite.
What's a Mox Tantalite? It doesn't exist.
It is poopy.
So Mox Opal at least requires work for you to do it. These other two cards don't require work. The main reason why it is still a recommended exclude for us, a soft ban, is because a lot of artifact decks don't need that help. You know, it's a reward for it, but do you need a reward? Like your deck is already firing on all cylinders.
artifacts
do you
are
need a
pretty good.
reward?
Like I
So-
said a second ago, do you really need it? It's not necessary. So
Yep. All right, next section. The insane card draw spells. And card draw can use like a slight asterisk here. Because it's Rhystic Study, Bolus's Citadel, and Esper Sentinel.
only two of those draw cards, Jason.
One of
What are
them
you
just
talking
cast them for free off the
One
top
of them
of your
cast them
deck.
for life.
Who would have thought? Yeah, I guess it's more the card advantage.
Circumventing the card draw and just straight into play.
Yeah.
I
know
you draw
some
your
people
pathetic cards, Yugi. I just played them.
I just
played
played
them.
them.
I'm playing Yu-Gi-Oh! You're playing Magic the Gathering.
We're not
So you're
the
winning on
same.
turn one? You're winning on turn one?
we maybe.
You pulling out Zodia out, cheaty face style? It is interesting. Like, out of all these, I feel like the most people probably would push back against Esper Sentinel.
Yeah,
But,
I don't think it should be on the list.
and then there's also the debate on Mystic Remora is not listed here, which we'll get to
Mhm.
later. But Esper Sentinel, I think there could be debate about it. I'm still kind of torn on this one. If you're mono white, maybe it's allowed.
I
but,
think
like,
it's also a result of just like not wanting to play cards for the sake of them being good. Because that's one of those cards also if you're in white, you're playing.
yeah.
Here, my genuine opinion on this is twofold. The argument against it is it gives too much card advantage. Like that's literally the reason people say we don't want this. My counter argument against it is it doesn't give too much card advantage. It gives a little card advantage. And also it's very easy to play around. And if our goal is to play slower, stop being greedy, you dickheads. Just pay your taxes and play
your
a little
taxes.
slower.
I could see that one again, like we said, like Cyclonic Rift being like kind of lower power mono blue decks. This could be like a decent one for like mono white decks at the lower power level.
Play Secret Rendezvous. You don't need this.
Okay,
that
shut
shit
up.
out of
Anyway, if you're
You
gonna
get 3 cards
gaslight,
for
if you're
three-
gonna
You
gaslight
get
me
3
like
cards
5
for
minutes
3
ago-
mana. 3 cards
Okay.
for 3 mana.
Okay, speaking of 3 cards to 3 mana, Aristic Study gets you more than that. I think that's
No,
great
that one doesn't.
self-explanatory.
I don't think we need to argue. It's
Yeah.
Rhystic Study.
Again, there's the argument of we want to play cards that are
Oh,
new.
no.
This one's just kind of consistent.
Mono
always
blue.
good.
Mono blue need help. Draw a card. Oh no.
Like okay, now I'm thinking about it more. It's kind of weird to me. Like we have Cyclonic Rift on hard ban, but not Rhystic Study on, and that's on the soft ban. I feel like
Yeah.
that should be swapped. Now I'm thinking about it more.
I mean, my opinion on it is that Ristic Study, again, sometimes you are just playing a terrible deck that needs the support. And people were a little... And also, keep in mind, our group has people who just want to play their cards. Like, they have their deck building heuristics. They don't want to think about it. That is legitimately one of the things is internal politics of, hey, if you're building your deck, you should be more consistent in adhering to the ban list. And then other people who are like, yeah, but also brain turn off, here's deck.
When we had to pump out a deck in like a 36 hours, because we don't get...
It happens.
I don't know if people are surprised by this. We don't get anything from Wizards with like cards early access or anything like that. We're not
ambassadors.
We are like you, the common man, I guess. We see the cards when they come out. I check Goldfish like every half an hour while I'm at work. Don't tell my boss. To see the spoilers when they come out and try to keep on top of it because we need to make videos and we have very limited time to make decks with cards that come out 2 days before recording. So it's very easy to say, oh, this fits my typical deck building style. Pretty much change out 6 cards, call it a deck, call it good.
Yep, simple as that. And that's Ristic Study often slips through because people forget about that. But also, again, there's a justification for playing Ristic Study. Like, if you're playing a blue Enchantress deck, play the best enchantment. Sure. Like, I can see the reasoning behind it.
Corner cases, but again, generally, nah.
It is one of those cards that leans more towards the hard ban than the soft ban, but either way. All right, next group, free interaction. My campaigning went well. We have Deadly Rollick, Deflecting Swat, Force of Will, Force of Negation. The CEDH level ones. We're not worried about Flawless Maneuver and whatever that haze is. The green one.
Obscuring haze.
Can we debate that Force of Vigor also be on this list?
Yeah, we've had some discussion as to whether or not Force of Vigor should be on here, but it's like, the end.
We could also debate some of these should go on to the hard ban list.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against saying just...
Like all of these. Minus maybe... fucking,
I would be fine with leaving Rollick. The other 3, I would be perfectly happy to hard ban.
SWAT is, in some scenarios, is just as good as Fierce Guardianship, if not better.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm more...
Force of Will and Negation, same.
Yeah, there was pushback against that, though, because people were like, I want to play my powerful red cards because my red deck needs the help. And I'm like, okay. I can kind of see the point.
But, like, again, we talk about, like, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but we talk about the gotcha moments, and those aren't cool. And they can be. But
so for the viewer, gotcha moments can be fantastic. For the player, gotcha moments can be very frustrating.
Yes.
And there is some like internal there is personal bias, as we said at the beginning, personal bias in these, like, like Jason campaigned hard for the Fierce Guardianship, probably because he doesn't like the card.
that's part of it, yeah. Like mentioning again, like part of the view of this being, some of this is our view of what the Commander ban list should actually look like, and I'm of the opinion that Fierce Guardianship at least should be hard banned out of the format. But that's my own opinion. That's not everyone's opinion.
That's just my opinion.
Then we got 4 individually strong cards, and these might need a little bit of discussion.
Can I do the first one?
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it.
Limdul's Vault, because it takes 8 years to resolve. That's why.
Yeah, honestly, that's part of it for sure.
It's also just kind of a soft tutor. So
it is a soft tutor. It is just a pain in the absolute tuchus to resolve, and I don't think any of us actually throw it in any of our decks. I've got it sitting on my desk actually right now, and I bought it like 2 years ago. I've never actually cast
Jason.
I play.
Jason is just sitting there grinning like a little shithead, waving, happy. He still gaslit me 10 minutes ago. I still can't do nothing about it.
What's that word mean?
Now you're making up words again.
The other thing is, it's worth noting, I'm the one who put Limdul's Vault on the list, and people didn't fight me on it. That's kind of the thing about it, is people were like, sure, you can ban this. And I was of the opinion, like, it's consistency with this is like the best 2-mana tutor that you can play.
Within our constraints.
Within our constraints, right? Once we got rid of Demonic Tutor, it was like, what's the second best tutor for 2 mana? And it's like Diabolic Intent or Limdul's Vault, and I'm of the opinion Limdul's Vault is a bit better. But it is 2 colors, and you have to be playing those 2 colors, which someone could view as, hey, I'm in those 2 colors. I would like a reward for being in those 2 colors. Aside from the fact that you just get better card quality in the monocolor deck.
I was going to say, you're in blue-black. That's a reward enough.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. In CDH, it's like practically the baseline. So, like...
yeah. So it's kind of a weird one, but that is one that I still think should be on here. Some people actually disagree with me, and I'm not too fussed one way or another, honestly. Nobody is.
I just do not care.
Mm-hmm.
So, may I get the next one,
yes.
Mr. Jason? All right. Hey guys, Cameron alluded to it earlier. Smothering Tithe. This is a 4-drop enchantment, 3 and a white.
People don't.
I think we all know what it does,
right?
Yeah. I think that. Yeah, I think everyone knows what Smothering Tithe does. Honestly, I just don't play it. It's individually powerful. It's just annoying. All right, like there's a 630 to pay the 1. Mm-hmm. Imagine having that every time someone draws a damn card. Mm-hmm. It gets tiring. I don't want to play with that on a set release when we have other things to focus on.
But again, like I generally don't play it because it's annoying, and I don't like keeping track of triggers. I just Oonga Boonga and tap out.
Cameron do be Ooga Boonging.
But also, you can argue for it in like a mono white deck that doesn't have access to ramp. Like you could argue for it.
Yeah. Also, and this is again on the debate side of things. Personally, I think Smothering Tithe is genuinely one of the most overrated cards in all of Commander, and it's not a card that people should really be thinking about as like needs to be banned in any sort of way, even on our list. But at the same time, a lot of people pushed and said like, we don't like having Smothering Tithe in the videos because it's not fun to play against. And I'm like, that's understandable. So it's here on a soft ban. Could be a hard ban if we wanted to, but I think it does offer some benefit. Like there are decks that would specifically want Smothering Tithe because it offers a unique effect they need.
And the other thing though is we talked about the Sit into Avernus, sped the game up quite a bit. That does also help speed the game up. And if we're trying to go for a longer, more flashy, showy game, Smothering Tithe can kind of lead to not that experience.
See, that's the thing, right? Diving into why Smothering Tithe is overrated for just a second. Smothering Tithe is only good when you pair it with consistent good card draw. If you are just getting more ramp, it's not very good in mono white decks, for example. Tithe just isn't a good card. It's when you pair it with blue or green where it starts getting really, really good. But if you're pairing it with blue and green, you already have the card draw that's really good and the mana acceleration that you might need. So why is Tithe the problem?
Fair. I will say though, mono white has good card draw. It's just called Skull Clamp.
True. I mean, I'll give you that. Like Skull Clamp's a great card, and that's a debate.
It is. You are not taking away my Skull Clamp. Okay, Cameron's got me a really, really pretty one recently. I am playing that damn card.
Hey, I have it right here. Yeah, I have it.
Okay. Side note: Cameron came over last weekend for my birthday and had. We got these really awesome Dragon Shield deck boxes. We went on with them. They kind of fold over all this thing. And Cameron got one that was a really, really dark blue. And I got one that was black. And this dude...
I own a Volk now, too.
Yeah, he just stole my Narset deck. My Kai card deck now. Yeah, literally just stole, all my good cards. And, the next day, I'm like, hey, buddy, you have your deck, right? He's like, yeah, it's right here. He's like, okay, look in there and tell me that's the actual deck. I'm still salty. And then I didn't really need to work yesterday.
I didn't.
That's crossed out.
I forgot.
Holding my crap hostage. You better. I will fight.
All right, so the next card.
No, I will fight you in the Denny's parking lot.
The next card. For the next card, I mentioned it or what?
Give us both of them. The next 2 cards.
Oh, they're both X spells, Finale of Devastation and Torment. They just end games out of nowhere.
Torment of what?
Torment of Hailfire. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Torment of Hailfire. I use the shorthand of it that we use. Ethan Focus. But his camera's out of focus, not like attention span focus.
The rage I have over you stealing my magic cards just caused my computer to bug out, apparently.
Finale and Torment of Hailfire just end games out of nowhere. And the only thing, there's little to no cost to putting them in your deck. Just have a lot of mana.
It's also it's just, these are 2 of the most anticlimactic ways we can end a video.
Yep.
Like Finale's a little more fun because you go, I'm going to make my big dudes and then swing at you and you just
bring a guy back from my graveyard and
monkey brain neuron activates. That's ooh. But at the same time, it just ends so many games because we're going for longer games, and
Yeah.
it gets very
Torment-
boring.
Like, we argument for Torment, like, I think we've had Zaxara on the channel, and we're like, sure, fuck it. It's literally the X spells deck.
Yeah.
Play Torment Hailfire.
That made sense. It was the big issue was we were, and not to call it like any specific person, but I'm going to call it a specific person. So like Logan, when Logan was very active on our channel, plays mono black decks and red black decks as his favorite archetypes, right? Torment of Hailfire was in every single deck, and
Cabal Coffers and Urborg.
Yeah, Cabal Coffers, Urborg. It was just the classic big mana.
It's good,
and it's like it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's great. That's why it's here. And it was just so anticlimactic when you sat there and go, and here's a random fireball for 30 damage, and you're like, oh, I thought we had more game to play here.
Scoop, shovel up.
Yeah.
You know what solve that problem, Jason? Fierce Guardianship.
Sure, buddy. Sure.
No, but it just leads to, again, not a good play experience and it's not a good finish to a video. Like, how many videos you sit down, it's like, this is a really good interactive game.
Mm.
Oh, they cast Torment of Hailfire for X equals 27?
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Viewers in particular complained about Torment of Hailfire.
They have.
Like, there was a lot of viewers who would complain about Torment of Hailfire, and we agree with you. It's not the most fun thing to watch. So, all right, so we got a couple of groups of cards we're going to talk about, and then we've got like 2 other sections that we'll get to. So the last groups, like these are general groups of cards. We did not even list specific cards on the list. We just said avoid these general things. Pure Chaos cards, Warp World, Possibility Storm, Knowledge Pool, Goblin Game, Thieves Auction. Don't play those. They may be fun for some people. Some people absolutely hate them with a burning passion. And
how would we resolve a Goblin Game on camera where we don't show like ourselves?
Well, this is for set release necessarily, so we are do those in person. Sorry, Jason.
I'm talking about in person. How would we resolve that in person on camera?
Generally speaking, we just don't play these cards anyway. But
actually, I would love for us to do it in one game just to show like someone pull out their phone for B-cam footage and just see the insanity of channeling.
Everybody goblining around hiding a card.
Oh, God. I hate
April Fool's video
so
next year.
Much.
Next category is full locks.
Yeah.
We're still. Oh yeah, but yeah, pure chaos cards. Bad.
Yeah.
Possibility Storm makes me sad. Possibility Storm sounds like fun, but it's just not fun to resolve.
No, it's not fun when a whole game is about it. Anyway, full locks. So we're talking about like cards like Karn plus Mycotese Lattice, aka bad cards unless you just stop everyone from playing. And they're not fun, right? We mentioned Knowledge Pool in the Chaos group, but it's also something that is in the it's in the lock piece category if you pair it with something like Lavinia or Boromir. So we just want you to avoid playing that because again, the goal is for everyone to play the game.
Wow. Shocker.
Crazy, right? Similarly, we mentioned full locks. We also have very hard stacks pieces like Winter Orb, Static Orb, and Blood Moon. Let me cast my spells.
We're naming a lot of cards right now. Cameron's gonna have a hell of a time editing this one.
Yeah, that's why I said
it
won't take that long to edit. And I'm like, we'll get there.
It'll be fine.
It's fine. Don't have to hit them all. And then the last thing is extra turn spells. Like we already talked about Expropriate. People don't like that one. It gets very annoying for some people when they're like, yes, extra turn looping. And this is also for players because
I was also going to say it turns out when your editor hates extra turn spells, it turns out you're not going to play extra turn spells anymore.
Yeah, I've gotten yelled at at least twice, I believe. He was like, "Ethan, you dumbass, you jagaloon, please stop." So we stopped.
Yeah, and the 2 I put on here is like Time Warp, and the other one is Capture of Jingzhou, and I want to make sure people pronounce that one correctly. Jingzhou.
I learned something. Jingzhou. Okay.
I learned something new today.
I did as well.
Sounds in Chinese are pronounced like a J.
Thank you, Jason, on all things based around China. We have our resource that focused on that for a while.
You're welcome. Anyway, the next thing is hot take time.
Yay!
We put off-color fetches as something that you just generally should not put into your decks for set release. Some people in our group really, really oppose this. Like, oh my goodness, I have not gotten such pushback on something being on our ban list. And
really? That's the thing that got the most pushback? I don't recall.
Yes. Off-color fetches were the one that got the most pushback out of everything.
But who... Okay, I don't recall who's actually pushing back
Matt
on
Cody.
this.
Matt and
That
Cody
makes
were
a
the
lot of
ones
sense.
that pushed
Anyway.
back on that
Actually-
the hardest.
Are we, Matt? I don't feel like I thought Matt was on our
Yes.
side.
No,
Really?
he was.
I-
Remember when I said before of some people when they do their deck building, it's I'm going to do it quick and I'm just going to use my heuristics. Matt, whenever he deck builds. By the way, hey Moxfield, if you'd like to sponsor us, I'm about to plug you for a second. So Moxfield has a thing where you can add packages to your decks, and whenever Matt builds a deck, anytime, I do
Land
36
base.
wastes, and then I go through and manually pick how to adjust my lands.
I do too. Thank you,
I do-
Jason.
Thank you, Jason.
Matt, on the other hand, goes in. Immediate first thing he does is add the package for an expensive mana base.
Yeah.
So he always has fetch lands and dual lands in his decks.
And he owns the majority of them. So
Yeah,
it's
he
like,
owns the cards. He wants to play with them.
Mhm.
So that's part of the reason why it's like I had to push back. Cody similarly was like, well, if I'm playing a lands deck, I want to have this. And also, he just likes having consistent mana for casting his spells. And he owns a lot of the cards as well. So
I guess that is one of the pros that you mentioned, is it does fix your mana, and losing to mana base in a set release video sucks ass. And that is not our goal.
yeah. But generally speaking, because we do our friendly moles to 7 every single time,
It doesn't happen.
you should just be able to make it so you have the basic
Al-
mana to cast all of your spells.
Also, specifically for set release videos, most commanders aren't over 3 color, outside of maybe like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings.
That's
like
the
is
last
most recent
more
one.
rare that we play a 5
Yeah.
color deck.
So like most of our decks are 2 color or monocolor.
Mm-hmm. Or 3 color. There's a lot of 3 color.
There is a lot of 3 color now.
Yeah, it's
But, like-
it's 1 through 3 colors. We very rarely and you almost never get 4 color, right? Like we don't get Omnaths and Aragorns very often.
Omnath, the Aragorn, that's
Traxxas,
kind of it.
right? But we get
We
5
get
color
Traxxas
decks
this year.
Almost every other set. We get a 5 color deck, but we don't play it that often. Like we didn't.
5
bother
color
playing-
just devolves into soup.
Yeah.
And
like we didn't play the 5 color Omnath when it came out.
I was gonna say we didn't play Jelly Bean on that March Machine
Mhm.
or
And we definitely
that,
didn't play Tazri.
all will be one.
yeah March Machine. Yeah, we didn't do that one. There was a lot of ones that we just don't do because I think it's just the deck building around a 5 color deck is also just more challenging, and we have just quick turnaround. I don't want to have to balance as much there. To me, it's like to make sure it's a
Yeah.
equal balance on like what's actually doing here, and just turns into good card soup.
Yeah.
And I want to do something more refreshing than that.
Yeah, but for talking about our 2 and 3 color decks, the big pros that we have of keeping fetch lands available is they easily fix your mana. Obviously the goal of a set release video is to showcase your deck, and that just makes things easier. And then the other thing is lands and graveyard decks want these cards.
Mhm.
The counterpoint, though, and why I am so firm about this needs to be in the recommended exclude, it's not a hard ban, it's a recommended exclude, is because they make it too easy to fix your mana and give you an unrealistic expectation of your commander. There should be some weakness for a 3+ color deck because you already have the better cards, better card quality
Right.
in your deck.
Like you playing your tap lands. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, play your tap land, slow down a second, right? And again, we mentioned not talking about price a lot. My gentlemen, if you would click the link that I have included in here,
Oh Lord.
I'll make this link available to people to see. I'm just making a point about dual lands for a second here.
Oh boy.
The deck list actually is called "Look, I'm just proving a point about dual lands."
Yeah. I went ahead and just made a very, very basic deck of 45-ish cards. And all it is 10 shock lands, 10 OG duels, 10 fetch lands, 10 of the battle lands, the ones that come into play untapped if you have 2 opponents. And then 5 color lands that are pretty commonly put in every single deck.
I don't see Prismatic Vista here.
No,
Prismatic
not in
Vista,
here.
but it should be
It should
Jason,
be.
your-
But
your
that's
list-
if you're playing basics.
fair.
Your list just shows me how much I need to buy the battle lands now. They're all
Yes.
kind of cheap.
Yeah, the battle
They're
lands
all
are
kind of
cheap.
cheap, and they have
Yeah,
the
and
ones
this
that
is
put the Commander Masters
and-
is fit
and
this is the
fetches
point.
are down.
This is the point I just wanted to make. All right. So, OG duels, if you played all 10 duels, and obviously if you're playing a 3-color deck, you're not playing all 10 of them, right? You only get to play 3 of them. So, it's not that big of a deal. But it still is $4,325 for you to play with your 10 dual lands. I mentioned not wanting to put $5,000 decks on the channel because we
Well,
want it to be a realistic expectation. There you
already
go.
did it with 10 cards.
Mhm. Yeah, you already did it with just 10 cards. Then on top of that, Fetchlands are another $200 on top of that. And if you want to round out your mana base, you're going to go and put in all of your shock lands, which is another $120. And then the 5-color lands, which I personally have no issue with anybody playing these, even in your 2-color decks, right? The 5-color lands, which are Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, City of Brass, and Mana Confluence, that's just $40. Like,
Those are fine.
that's fine.
And there's a real downside. They hurt you consecutive many times.
Yeah. These are powerful, but...
I would like to say that I have some magic brain right here. When I hear fetches, I've said a fetch is only $200. I'm like, that's not bad.
That's exactly what I was.
Me because when we start playing,
a Scalding Tarn was like $80 at one point while we were
I
playing Modern.
bought
and
a
now
place that
I'm
Scalding
looking-
Tarns.
I'm seeing Tarns for $15. I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah,
but also
I'm very good that they did that reprinting. But
yeah, but the magic brain rot's real with me. I'm sorry, guys. Just put me down. Put me down.
A windswept heath is more than a Scalding Tarn.
Right.
I'm sorry.
That hurts. That hurts so bad.
The point I just wanted to make, though, when we talk about, like, say you are brewing a 5-color deck for the channel in our set releases, right? We want to avoid $5,000 decks. The easy one-for-one replacement you can make from OG duels to battle lands, which are better than OG duels in many cases.
I mean, your opponents can just scoop, though. So
Yeah.
Scoop. Good thing playing lands a special action, and that doesn't work, baby. So
we rule 0 to where it does actually work that way.
Yeah,
Jason.
use the stack
okay.
now.
But playing
lands use a stack.
All 10 battle lands in your deck right now is $65. Would you rather have $4,300 or $65?
Fuck, I need to buy all the battle lands.
Yes, and they have the special pretty versions with Commander Master just came out, and they're like $5 a pop. I need to get them as well.
Yeah,
but no, to Jason's point, yes, it makes sense. I will say good deck building might probably not play all 10. You want to focus on the colors that are more primary with your deck if you're going to take that hard of a look at it. So it's going to be different based on different decks.
So even though, what I wanted to bring in about that, though, like, again, if we're trying to build quickly, because we have to, right?
Yeah.
We will cut corners on your mana base. If you said, okay, my mana base is going to be 10 fetches, 10 shocks, 10 OG duels, and 4 5-color lands, that's 34 lands, set. That is the easiest, quickest way you can just make a full mana base, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's part of the reason why I didn't include Prismatic Vista.
That's fair. I will say, though, if you're just cutting the duels to play the battle bond lands, those fetches get a lot worse, too. And so then you're having to switch those out. So if you're taking time to craft a mana base, just play the battle bond lands. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Also, one upside to banning more fetches is that fetching takes fucking forever.
Yeah.
Yes,
And, like as a Kura player, as my main, like, casual, like, it takes fucking forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we need... Also, the other big thing that I always get is like, oh, but the lands and graveyard decks want these cards. Do they need the support to keep up with the rest of the tables?
For graveyard decks, I could see it, but, like, not really. I think graveyard decks are fine. I just like playing fetch lands with my lands decks, because having the consistency there really helps.
Right.
It just feels like you're really playing a worse version of your deck if you're you can swap out for Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse. Sure, it does hurt. So I'm more okay with the idea of those cards getting played in lands decks, but not.
Just play more basics.
No, and
Thank you,
and again,
Cameron.
that's part of the reason why it's also a recommended exclude, right? If you're playing, let's say, like, welcome back to playing with me, Hazezon Tamar. Let's say I'm playing a Hazezon Tamar deck. If I'm going to play Hazezon, I'm not going to put, or for a set release video, I would want a couple of extra cards for my lands decks. But my order of priority would be my 3 on-color fetches, Prismatic Vista, Fabled Passage, and then I would look to see if I need the off-color fetches at all.
Yep.
And I would play 1 or 2 more, maybe, but I don't need to put all 8 or 9 that I could play.
Players play more basics. They're really good.
When I play Windgrace, I played all 9 off-color fetches and Prismatic Vista and Fabled Passage.
Yeah. Well,
I'm the
Windgrace.
problem. Yeah.
But yeah, like, I get it why you want that, but it's like you don't need to do it. You want to. You don't need to. So that's just
monkey brain neuron activation, Jason.
Right. It's like we don't have time for neurons to activate.
Gilbert. Brain Gilbert.
But yeah, I get it. Like, that's the reason why it's on the recommended excludes, though. Because I do agree that sometimes you will just need it, but 90% of the time you don't. All right, let's get into the notable excludes, because some of you may be sitting here going like, what the hell? Why is this not on the list? Let's start with the easy one. Thassa's Oracle.
So we don't play CDH as our primary format, and Thassa's Oracle is not a very good card outside of winning the game now.
Yeah.
And we also, for set release, don't play CDH because we're not good at that. If you want that, go check out Play to Win. Go check them out.
Playing with Power.
Yeah.
Play to Win, Playing with Power, any of these big
They do it
CDH
better.
creators. Yeah, they do the CDH as set release stuff. We don't. It's a CDH WinCon. We don't feel like playing with it. Also, we don't even play Blue-Black that often. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm the one who
also,
plays Blue-Black the most of the group.
Yeah,
and
at this point.
And right after Thoracle, we have Demonic Consultation, Tainted Pact. Those are just bad cards if you're not winning the game with them.
Yeah, especially if you're doing things like removing all your Fetchlands from your deck, so your Tainted Pact mana base is terrible.
Yeah, your Tainted Pact.
Yeah, no, we just choose not to play those for various reasons, especially just the deck building restrictions. If you think about it, to make Tainted Pact effective would just be too hard for us to do in a short time constraint, which we don't want to play the card anyway, so it's gone. We just don't worry about it.
Yep. Easy enough. Next one. Sol Ring.
It's Sol Ring.
Grandfathered into the format.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I do. It's always the I'm trying to
the longer I've played Commander and been in the format, the more I am like, why the fuck is this card allowed to exist?
Yeah.
Because it is on the level of Mana Crypt, but like one step below it.
Yep.
But because the price is $1 compared to $150,
right. And because it's the spirit of the format, I think that's just a cop out answer.
It's been in every pre-con. It's been. It is the cop-out answer, unfortunately, though, right? Like, it's a really strong card. It shouldn't be in the format.
And, like, we have had internal discussions on banning Sol Ring for our set releases because, like, in our latest Pantlaza video, Caden literally just did Oonga Boonga because he had a Sol Ring. Yep. None of us did. And where did we? There was one game where 3 of us had Sol Ring.
Yeah, that was... I forget when that was, but that was pretty recently. It was like, okay, cool. The one person that didn't have Sol Ring just got...
Yeah.
Didn't do much.
And like we've seen people like I've seen Reddit posts of like, well, if one person has Sol Ring, everybody in the play group gets to go tutor it out. It's like, no. I think the problem that's fucking hilarious that the solution to the Sol Ring problem is everyone has one.
Yeah,
why should we just ban it?
Break the game altogether?
Yeah. Everybody gets 2 extra mana on their turn. Woohoo!
Yeah, but also like wait, back on that, if one person finds everyone's tutors it out, so it's you might let my opponents draw 3 cards.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It
may just been a fever dream I had, but I swear I remember
that's
seeing
legitimately something that people have posted about. Like, here's my solution to the Sol Ring problem, and usually the clown answer on is like people will just clown on the answers with really now.
Wouldn't it just be cooler to like ban that, rule 0 it, and play a cool card in your deck?
Yeah,
but there's pretty versions of it, Cameron. There's pretty shiny versions.
There's pretty versions of Mana Crypt.
My favorite alternative that I've seen to this. My absolute favorite alternative that people have given to this is instead of like everyone cannot play Sol Ring in their deck, but you get to start with 2 basics in play. Like, sure,
no.
Veteran Explorer.
Like, sure, it encourages everyone to play basics in their deck. You get to pick your 2 basics based on what your hand is. Sure, I don't really hear that much.
Also, it just speaks to how stupid and busted like those artifacts are. That like at one point, Worn Power Stone was playable, and it still is. Like, it's perfectly acceptable. 3 mana Sol Ring that comes into play tapped.
Are you talking trash on my Worn Power Stone?
Yeah. Let's move on.
I am deeply offended. We will spar outside the Ditties later about this.
I want Waffle House.
Okay, outside the Waffle House. It's a better venue anyway.
Damn, we want the knife fight. Let's go.
Yeah.
Next group of cards is just like light stacks pieces and tax pieces. Like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, and Blind Obedience. They slow the game down.
It's a good thing sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Sometimes people don't like playing against it, but it's not enough for us to say we shouldn't play it at all.
Yeah,
Thalia. We've seen Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, Thalia, Heretic Cathar, other stacks pieces. They're fine.
Keep naming cards. You have to edit it.
Just not Dranith.
Keep going.
No, I'm editing it. I can. And
I edit the audio. You bend to my will.
I've wanted to play Gaddock Teague in a deck for so long, and I get yelled at because I have a pretty one.
Just play
Moving
it.
on.
And just rip the Band-Aid off, and we'll yell at you for an hour. We'll get over it.
Next card
This is
was
one that I will push back on. But Cameron, in his lovingly beautiful ways, hates on Jessica's will, and he just needs to get good. Get good. Okay, then give me mine back. Okay, you still haven't paid me for that Jessica's will from back in Vegas.
Oh. No,
if you hated some, okay, then okay, $20 cash out an hour from now. Thank you very much. Just was fine.
Anyway.
So the thing on Justice Will is it has a very high upside, right? Also, but as is the tradition with every time Matt casts it, he hits 3 lands or 3 spells, and it's like, oops. Oh well. Anyway, like the ceiling and floor is insane on this card, and that's what makes it funny.
Yes. I think it's just fine because the floor is so low, and also like, really. You get it's a +3 card advantage and it's ramp. Yes, it's not permanent ramp, and you can get kind of blown out on the mana sometimes.
See, I don't think the floor is that low. I think the floor is like still really good.
Yeah, no, I will fist fight you in the Denny's parking lot over Justice Will being available and acceptable for set release videos.
I just think that the ceiling is too good and the floor is the ceiling is too high and the floor is too high, and the ceiling is fucking sky high.
Okay, what is the high ceiling then? Explain to me your
7 mana, draw 3 for 3. 7 mana ritual and draw 3 cards for 3 mana. That would see play.
Yeah, but you have to have your commander out.
What decks don't actively want their commander out, other than like Edgar Markov? What decks do not actively that we are building do not want their commander out?
Okay, let's take. Okay, you know what? I'm gonna pull up some data here. Let's just talk through this. Let's go back to the commanders that came out with this new set.
And even if you're not getting both modes, it is still normally at minimum a better. What is the pirate? Not what is that ritual that was banned? Seething Song, 3 mana, make 5.
Yeah, but Seething Song doesn't see play except for the decks I play. Are you complaining about Seething Song?
That sounds like an Ethan issue.
no. Well, here's the thing. Seething Song's fine. No one complains about Seething Song. Yes, Justice Will is better. I'm not debating that's not a good card. I just don't think it's at the point where we should worry about this is too good, because it's not. When we said, oh, Justice Will single-handedly won the game.
See, but I don't think that has to. I think it propels you forward in the same vein that like a Smothering Tithe can, or like a Soul Ring can. And Soul Ring isn't on the ban list, but like I think us 3 are in agreement that it probably should be banned. Like, I think this is one we're just gonna have to agree to disagree, because we're not gonna be able to convince each other of.
But you're wrong. I need to tell you why.
So, we can go ahead and do the next card, real fast. It's Mystic Remora. It's kind of poopy when people aren't trying to turbo out a bunch of artifacts.
Yeah, it is kind of garbo, really, because there is a bit of upkeep. And yes, it is the upside of it can just be Ancestral Recall, drawing you 3 cards for 1 mana, if not more. And that is very powerful, but think about it in the context of our set releases. We've just spent over an hour so far telling you we're trying to go for the longer game. We're not trying to ramp out or in the game on turn 5. A lot of time, if you look at our set release videos, it is laying go for the first 2 or 3 turns, which is when Mystic Remora is the most
at its best.
It's at its best. It's those early turns. We don't, with that being a different meta, Mystic Remora is not the powerhouse we see in CDH.
Mystic Remora is good when people have a lot of early mana rocks, so like Mana Crypt and Mox Diamond and Chrome Mox, which we have banned, and a lot of early tutors, which like Vamp and Worldly and Enlightened, which we have also banned.
Or free counterspells and interaction, which we have also banned.
So like, if people, and like we want the games to go longer, as Ethan said, we're also more likely to play around a Mystic Remora. We'll just be like, okay, we have Unga Boonga creatures we can play. Yeah. Get wrecked.
And after a while, that upkeep gets really bad. Like, okay, 1 turn off in a casual setting, it's not really that big of a deal. It is, but really in the grand scheme, compared to like CDH, where Mystic Remora is backbreaking in some context, right?
It's probably the second best card in the format, right? One in the top 3 cards in the format right now.
I know I was a guest on a CDH live stream for Eminence with Ashani and Scoots at one point, but I am not an expert.
It's a Ristic Study meta right now, and conversely, Mystic Remora is almost as good as Ristic Study.
It is very mana efficient for sure.
When you take out a lot of the good cards that make that card good, it gets a lot worse.
So,
Okay.
one thing that Jason is really, really hard on is green. He does not like playing it. He thinks it's dumb.
Jason wants to delete green. He doesn't want it to be a color and hates all
hates
green mages.
He wants Chandler to go just cry in a corner. He's going to yell and wants to cry in the corner because
I present to you the suicide.
Spit on the green. So there's a few cards that he likes to debate on, and we can push back. The first one is Toski, a Bearer of Secrets, I believe is the full name of that one. It's really good, but I don't think it's ban worthy.
Oh, so
and
then the next one here, Great Henge, which is just a staple of any of the big green stompy decks because it's pretty easy to play.
Can I bring up a third one too?
Yeah, go for it.
Why'd you not put Guardian Project? It's 4 mana. It's very similar to Toski.
I've generally found Guardian Project to be a little overrated.
Okay.
I think it's fine. If I was going to address one, I would address Beast Whisperer.
Yeah, it's cast trigger.
Mm-hmm.
A little better.
Yeah, I think Beast Whisperer's the better card. But even then, anytime I've played with it, I've been like, yeah, this is fine. Like, it draws me some cards, but it's very easy to handle, very easy to interact with. These two, though, are harder to interact with. And the upside is way higher. Particularly Toski. Toski, if it comes down on an early game, you only have to be semi-aggressive to now start drawing 3+ cards a turn.
Yeah, all it really takes is one person who kind of tripped out of the gate and doesn't have any early creatures to block, and it snowballs.
Yeah, it snowballs extremely hard. It is very easy to tutor because it's a green creature. It's easy to get down quickly because it's a green creature.
Hard to get rid of. It's indestructible.
It's indestructible. So even if your opponent goes, oh, shoot, I need to wipe your board, and you just go, cool, Toski swings next turn and draws a card. And
wait,
you're saying that draw 2 or 3 cards.
You're saying that not everyone plays Zealous Persecution in their decks?
Yeah. To
give all of my opponent's creatures -1/-1? Seriously?
How dare you not put a big fat creature into play like Villis that can kill this thing by a single activation?
As a Maverick player who unironically played Zealous Persecution.
That was a deep cut just for you, Cameron.
I appreciate you.
But we don't play Deadweight or Tragic Slip in our decks just to kill Toski? Come on. What is our meta anymore?
Yeah, like that's the thing I wanted to address is and so casual players in particular love to complain about how powerful green is, and we are specifically creating a meta where green is very good. Like we've addressed.
I think that also just is also that we play casual. Like green is better in casual.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. We are cultivating like no free counter magic, no free interaction, yada yada yada.
Nice pun, cultivate, because they're green.
And additionally, I want to talk about is we've got a lot of black cards on this list. We've got a lot of blue cards on this list. We've got a decent number of white cards on this list. We have one green card. Worldly Tutor.
Worldly Tutor. Finale's no.
Oh, well, sorry. You're right. We have 2 green cards because Finale of Devastation's on here as well. And in the things that we talk about avoiding, generally speaking, the cards that we're telling people to avoid are primarily found in red, white, blue, and some in black. Why are we just giving green free reign?
That's fair. I see your argument. But I still think that it's fine if we have more games that further like exacerbate this problem, then we can talk about it. So Toski's really good. Great Henge is really good. And I do definitely see now that Jason has brought it to my attention that green just kind of gets to do whatever the fuck it wants. Maybe we should talk about it more. But the problem is like it kind of is a slippery slope IMO. Because if we ban Toski, it's like, well, why is Guardian Project not banned? Why is Beast Whisperer not banned? Why is Garrick's Uprising not banned? You know,
why is Orin Frostbite not banned?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope.
Because there's there's benefits and weaknesses to each of those cards.
Right, but you see where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I just identified the 2 that I was like, hey, these ones, not only do they come up in our videos a lot and do a lot of heavy lifting, these are the ones that snowball the hardest.
That's true.
So we
Inle-
probably should do something.
I'm allowed to play
address
Great
this.
Hinge. Well, actually, no, I'm never allowed to play Great Hinge again because I can't read Magic cards.
No, you can't. I will let's say I'm realizing what this entire episode is. Jason suggested we do this episode. This has just been a psyop to try to convince Cameron and I to join his side on the anti-green party. I don't know how I feel about this.
Don't worry. The only green party I like is the IRL one.
Politics now too? Sheesh.
What do you mean, Jason? Okay. There are only two parties.
The right and the wrong. Okay. All right, moving on. So we have the next category of noble exclusions, or like kind of niche tutors. So we talked about tutors are cringe. We mentioned one a few times. Diabolic Intent is on here. But
I think that could be up. I think that could be up, like ranked up to a recommended exclude.
We could.
You could.
A few other ones are things like Fabricate, where you only get a certain type of card, like Artifact in that case. But like Ranger Captive Aos is another one. That one tutors out a 1-drop or less.
It tutors out Esper Sentinel, sir. And
it does
when we've banned Esper Sentinel.
It also noteworthy that it gets Sarah Ascendant, which we have not banned. Which you could view as a notable exclude, but we generally just don't play Sarah Ascendant.
Sarah Ascendant's fine.
We don't play life game that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't play like low to the ground white aggressive decks that often either.
I think Chandler may have had it in his Bilbo deck. Birthday boy Bilbo.
And he probably had it in Adeline as well. He had probably had an Adeline whenever that card came out. But
but it hasn't been a problem for us. So, but yeah, these cards like Fabricate, for example, is something that may be necessary to hold the glue. Like some amount of tutors are needed.
Word of Invention.
Yeah, Word of Invention. Various artifact tutors, for example, may be needed because you can't get the Rube Goldberg machine assembled whatsoever, or even start playing the game until you have a couple of pieces in play.
Yeah. A question though: if Word of Invention's fine, we just mentioned Word of Invention. Court of Calling is the same thing, but for creatures. Sure. Is there a difference there?
No, Court's fine.
Yes, there is a difference there. Court of Calling costs functionally 0 mana if you wanted to, and is stronger than Word of Invention.
This is true.
It's stronger, but I still think it's fine.
Convoke is better than Improvise in every way. That is fair.
Oh boy, let me make sure I put that one on the recommended excludes. Realistically, people just don't play it in our group, so it hasn't been a problem. But I could see an argument for a Court of Calling. But
we got one more notable exclude. This is for Ethan. Because he bought a Wheel of Fortune.
Let me play my wheel.
You can play it. I think when you aren't pairing wheel effects with like the Narset stuff, like the what the fuck's that Narset?
We took out Smothering Tithe.
That's
Smothering
true.
Tithe,
we did take out
Reveals, Notion Thief.
Those things. When you're not pairing it with those, and we're trying we're not trying to create non-games in our set release, so we don't play these things in our set release. And
honestly, the bigger reason to talk about it is actually just the price. Cards, what is it still close to 200, or is it dropped down?
2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, like it's still close to $200, so it would be a card that
185 a year and a half ago, I think.
Yeah.
Let me pull up TCG Play real quick.
People can't get a hold of Wheel of Fortune, and it is a card that a lot of people talk about as whenever they want to play wheels, they're constantly asking, what's a good Wheel of Fortune replacement? What's a good Wheel of Fortune replacement? Well, good news. We have Wheel of Misfortune. So
it's it's a fun card.
It's a fun card. We already have something that functionally replaces Wheel of Fortune, so why do we need to worry that much about banning this one outright? Or even recommending that you don't play it? It's not busted. It's fine. In fact, many people like me believe that wheels are generally bad and you shouldn't play them. But
yes. But I'm on a red, so I'll take what I can get.
Exactly.
So but hey, guys, Wheel of Fortune, like heavy play, only 150 with shipping. Like, come on, guys.
Can I bring up one like quick? I have a question on my mind.
No,
and I want to hear y'all's opinion.
Sure.
Like if like we bring up notable excludes and Wheel of Fortune, we let Ethan play it because even though he bought one and it is expensive and people omit it because price. Where does Gaia's Cradle fall? Because that's a card that I think should be on the hard ban list.
I think it is.
That's one honestly. I talked about as well at one point.
Because as an owner, luckily, of a Gaia's Cradle, I do not put that in any of my set release. I generally do not put that in any of my channel decks, other than my personal ones like Kura.
I think it should be a recommended exclude.
I agree. We actually, this is deep lore that I'm not sure Jason was, but you weren't on the channel at this point. Like the first few videos we had one of our people played Finn the Fangbearer with Gaia's Cradle when we did Call Time release. There was a heated debate about his inclusion of that card at the time. It just turned into, okay, we're just not going to put it in our decks. I'm not sure why it's not on the list already, honestly.
I think it's one of those, like, so I am the distributor of Gaia's Cradles in our group. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I had 3 because I had Legacy Elves at one point. Mm-hmm. And once we just decided we're not playing Legacy, I was like, okay, I'll trade them to some of the group. And so now Matt and Chandler have them, and I still have one. So I know Chandler is pretty good about not playing it because he's like, yeah, that's just too strong. I think Matt generally just throws it in every green deck he has.
Yeah. And
like personal decks, I don't care. Do what you want. I think this one but I think this one is one that we need to talk about for recommended exclude, because I think we're more or less, most of us are on the same page and like, we need to take green down a peg. This card is way too good.
Yeah, maybe just that we don't play it enough in our set releases now. There's been the internal dialogue and kind of an internal understanding of I probably shouldn't play this card, and everyone just kind of independently reached that conclusion, so it just hasn't been a problem.
Fair.
But maybe I should just
I wouldn't mind codifying it.
Yeah, codifying it just for clarification, like, hey, don't play Gaia's Cradle. We shouldn't play it. I remember I did debate it at one point, and then it was kind of one of those meetings where it's just like it was brought up and then something else got brought up and it did not get addressed again. So
yep, sounds like a smooth brain meeting.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But yeah, I agree. Gaia's Cradle probably should be on that list.
Okay, sorry, it was just on my mind.
No. It's a good thing to bring up. And for the viewers and listeners, if you have any cards that you think, hey, this might be a good one for us to take a look at, or these are cards that you think make bad play experiences,
a card you're tired of seeing on our channel, because like you guys watch our content, so like, and we do watch our own content, but also like you guys probably remember it a lot more than us, sadly.
Maybe. But again, we want to hear from you guys. We always put the call out. Like we have a Discord for you guys to, give us feedback and talk to us. So if there's something you want to bring up and message directly, comment section, any of our videos, the Discord, we're Twitter, DMs. I think those are open as well. Like we're definitely happy to hear from you guys and get feedback on how we're doing. And also just want to hear from you guys in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that Ethan has effectively done the outro for me, hey, thank you all very much for watching another episode of the WrinklyBrain Podcast. If you'd like to see edited gameplay videos, head on over to our main channel, Smooth Brain EDH. We upload every Saturday. Ethan covered that other stuff, so if you want to pay us money, you can go to our Patreon, or you can buy our merch. We have merch. That's a fun thing. Anyway, all links are directly in the description or in our link tree. This has been Jason with Karen. Wait. I fucked it up. No!
And Ethan signing off. Yes! Bye.
No, Jason, you didn't put my name on the outro. He copy pasted. You failed me.
I think we keep that. That's fucking
we're keeping this in here. This has been Ethan, Jason, and Cameron. I can get. Okay, for real. This has been Ethan, Jason, and Cameron. Thank you all for watching and listening. Have a great day.